Here's a little bit of information about intervals. Now, an interval is the distance between two notes, okay? We measure intervals by number. So C to D, for example, middle C and D, they're piano keys right next to each other, right? So if you're looking at the piano, C and D are a second apart because there are two notes in a row. C and E are a third. We skip a note. There are three white keys in a row here, three letters in a row. C and F are a fourth apart. C and G are a fifth. C and A are a sixth. C and B are a seventh. And C are an eighth. That's also called an octave, right? There are some tricks to help you remember the distance between notes, the way they sound. And if you've ever sung do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that was really bad fingering on my scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So if you remember where those notes are in the scale and the solfege syllable that I just sang, that'll help. Other stuff, you can remember songs. Here comes the bride, that's a fourth. Twinkle, twinkle, little star is a fifth. My Bonnie lies over the ocean is a sixth. A seventh, I don't know, I just remember it's almost an octave. And an octave, even though the high note is higher, I don't know, they sound the same. The second is do, re. A third is do, mi. Okay, so you can sit at the piano and kind of get used to all the different sounds of all the different intervals. We should talk about how they look on the music. So when two notes are a second apart, like C and D, you notice that C is a line note and D is a space note. I've also written C and D down here. You see these two whole notes, these are a harmonic interval. Harmonic intervals in the bass staff, those are notes played together at the same time. Melodic intervals are played one at a time. But in the bass staff, the C is a space note and the D is a line note. And the treble staff, middle C is a line note, D is a space note. Interesting pattern. Thirds, C and E is a third, right? You skip that D in between. Down here, C and E is a third. You're going to play those both at the same time without the D in the middle. So notice up here, C and E are both line notes, and down here, C and E are both space notes. You see a pattern emerging? Here's a fourth. Here comes the bride. C and F. Middle C is a line note, F is a space note. In the bass clef, C is a space note, F is a line note. Even numbered intervals, like seconds and fourths, have one line note and one space note. Interesting, huh? Here's a fifth. C to G. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. In the treble clef, middle C and the G, that's a fifth above it, are both line notes. In the bass clef, the lower C and the G, that's a fifth above it, are both space notes. Check out that pattern. Odd numbered intervals, like thirds and fifths, have two line notes or two space notes. Interesting, huh? Here's a sixth. Sixth is an even number. So if our pattern holds true, we're going to have a line and a space, right? Check this out. Middle C is a line. A is a space. They're a sixth apart. Bass clef, C is a space, A is a line. They're a sixth apart. Here's an odd numbered interval, a seventh. C is a space. Goodness, B is a space too. What do you know? Here middle C is a line. B is a line too. Up here we have an octave or an eighth. Like an octopus has 8 legs, right? Remember, an eighth also can be called an octave. So since it's an even numbered interval, we shouldn't match, right? Oh, look at that. We've got a space note and a line note. Those are an octave apart. Here we have a line note and a space note. They're an octave apart. Goodness, it works. So intervals can be easy to identify if you know what to look for. So the easiest way to figure out any interval is count the lines and spaces between to determine the interval. Let's take this one, the fifth, right in the middle in the bass clef. Here we have a note on a space. Then we skip a line. We skip a space. We skip a line. And then we have the next note on a space. So our sequence here is space, line, space, line, space. That's 5 things. It's a fifth. Goodness. Let's try it with this one. So middle C is on a line. We're skipping the D on the space. Here we have a line, space, line, space, line. Okay, let's go back and review that. Line, space, line, space, line, space, line. That's 7. That's an easy way to figure out intervals. Just count the lines and spaces. Remember, always count the one you start on and the one you end on. But you can also remember the patterns. Even numbered intervals, seconds, fourths, sixths, and octaves, have a line note and a space note. So if you're kind of on the fence figuring out, I don't know if that's a fourth or a fifth, if it has a line and a space, it's going to be a fourth. Odd numbered intervals, thirds, fives, and sevens, have 2 line notes or 2 space notes. Let's come down here and identify these intervals. Here we have a space note and a space note. Let's count the distance between the 2 of them. So we have space, line, space. Well, that's 3 things. Is it a third? Oh, third is an odd number. Look at that. They're both space notes. Yep, it's a third. Let's do this one. Here we have a line note and a space note. If you remember our trick, it's an even numbered interval because we have a line and a space. But let's count. So we're going to count the distance from this one to the space that this is on. So we have line, space, line, space, line, space. That's 6. It's a sixth. This one, goodness, that's hard. That's a second, right? You have a line and a space consecutively. The line is right below the space. So there's no notes in between at all. That's a second. This is an even numbered interval. No, it's not. It matches. It's an odd numbered interval. Let's count. We have line, space, line, space, line. That's 5 things. That's a fifth. This one, you know what it is? It's a fourth. You can remember it this way too. You can count the lines or spaces. You can remember what they look like. Like you'll get to know the shape of them and you'll be able to recognize, oh yeah, that's a fourth. You'll know it like you know how to read the word and without sounding it out, right? But you can also think about letters. That's a D and a G. D, E, F, G. Oh, that's 4 letters in a row. You can figure it out that way too. What's this one? Odd number. Yep, it's a 7th. A C to a B. 1 less than an octave. And speaking of octave, check that out. That's an octave. Okay, so that is the trick list for figuring out what an interval is. I'm going to include this worksheet at the bottom of the video so you can download it yourself. Thanks for watching.